Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a look at the new Transformers War for Cybertron Kingdom Wingfinger. Wingfinger is part of the third wave of deluxe figures in the Kingdom subline, and he is notable for being the first Maximal Fossilizer to be released. This entry is also significant because we finally have the three different mold families for the Fossilizer gimmick, which means we can build that really cool bone combiner that was shown off during one of the Hasbro live streams. It's as yet unnamed, but it does exist. And I think I'm gonna do a separate review for that one, just so I can show off how to put it together and all that and really take a close look at it. So keep your eyes out for that one, but today we're gonna focus specifically on Wingfinger and everything he does as he comes. So if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Wingfinger's packaging, then we'll open it up. We'll see the instructions, we'll see the Fate Reveal card, which is hopefully something new. And then we'll see Wingfinger himself in both the Beast and Robot modes, as well as the different Fossilizer / Weaponizer type modes. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my final thoughts. So Wingfinger comes in your standard deluxe class packaging for Kingdom. Got a little half window here, you can see the figure itself. Very skinny looking guy, very lithe. Then wrap it around to the side, you get the artwork of both the alternate and robot modes. And honestly, the robot mode, like the head looks, I think his helmet's pushed down in the package. Yeah, I think that's what's going on there. Yeah, so we'll get a better look at his actual eyes once we open it. Here's the top, nothing special, same old. On the back here, we get renders of Wingfinger in the two different modes. It takes 14 steps to transform between them. A little breakdown of the parts, and some combining with Trax, who is concurrently available in this wave. And then, of course, on the side, we have our standard Kingdom artwork. Here's our instruction sheet for Wingfinger. You can see a nice render of the character on the front, his name, his number, 25, all your logos. Let me open this up. This first bit shows you how to place his dinosaur skull on his back for storage, or you can have him wield it along with one sword, have him wield both swords, or put everything in storage. So he's got a lot of options there. That's really good. Then we get a transformation from robot to beast mode. And then on the back, we get some instructions for, one, disassembling him into his component parts, and then also turning him into some kind of a longbow for Wheeljack, though I'll probably use a different character. And then lastly, some sort of winged armor and looks like an axe of some kind. So just a different, fossilizer or, weaponizer configuration. So, about what you'd expect. You got two full loadouts, though, the bow one's not really utilizing all those parts, but, still two loadouts. You get the robot mode, the beast mode, everything you really need. Now we get to see Wingfinger in his beast mode, and he works best really in a flying position. He doesn't really stand very well at all, so he's really just meant to be kind of soaring or laying down. But you can see his nice intricate bone work here, nice bits of shading where you got a gradient from darker colors to almost a white. You get these painted, look like kind of ribs here. You get paint inside the eye sockets just so they don't kind of blend in with the rest of the skull and it stands out. And he looks all right. His arms are pretty flexible. You can pose them in a few different ways, flap them around, bend them, whatever you got to do. And then his mouth also opens. However, at least on my copy, so you see it's shut pretty tight. It doesn't want to open. And when you finally, it'll shut like that. When you finally do get it past a point where it'll shut, then it just hangs loosely. So, unfortunately, the jaw on mine doesn't seem to be very good. I don't know how common this issue is. Hopefully it's not very common. But, yeah, my Wingfinger really only works if you keep his mouth shut. So, it's unfortunate. Real bad tolerance issue there. You see it just flapping around uselessly. Alright, so yeah, that's the beast mode. It's really, I think, a case of form over function. He doesn't do a whole lot, and the mouth thing doesn't work very well, but he does look cool. He is a big flying lizard and really looks the part there. Looks like something you'd see in a museum. Here's a group shot with the other two standard fossilizers releasing Kingdom. This is the best, perched position I could get for this guy. I guess it kind of works. Now, the odd thing here is that these two, Paleotrex and Ractinite, are both Predacons and not Maximals. Though thematically, they match our friend Wingfinger here the best. There is also the purple crystal-colored Skelevor, who's also a Predacon. And then there are two Maximal Fossilizers in the form of the Selects Transmutate and the Fireblast Pack Tricranius. However, those two were made to look, entirely different from natural bone. So while they do make better teammates than these two here, they also look much more disjointed as a team and also as a combiner. This also leaves Wingfinger as the odd man out because he's the only fossilizer whose mold hasn't been reused. It would be cool if we saw a Predacon version of the character who's done up in, maybe more extreme colors. Maybe looking like fire, electricity, something like that to match, those two Maximals. But unfortunately, as we know, the Kingdom line is coming to an end and no such thing is in sight. So unless we maybe get one with that rumored Wrecker subline from Walmart, this guy may end up being the only use we get out of this mold, which means he won't have a Predacon counterpart. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. We might get one maybe further down the road. Alright, so for our first bit of transformation, what we're going to do is break Wingfinger down into his component parts, per the instructions. So go ahead, move the head right here. You're going to remove this lower body portion, like so. Pull off the feet. You're going to open these up and rotate them down like so. Get something that looks like that. Then you go ahead and remove the wingtips. Set them aside. Straighten out the feet here. Just like that. And you remove the feet. And lastly, you just twist this thing 180 degrees. So you end up with all these pieces right here. And that's what you start with. So whether you're going for the bow configuration or the armor up configuration, this is how you start everything out. So let's go ahead and do the bow first. First thing you want to do for the bow is actually undo your very last step of rotating this thing. So you make that peg point back down. You take the wingtips and you stick them in the ends here. Just like this. There we go. Uh-oh. Got them rotated. Don't do that, little buddy. There you go. All right. So you get this going on, and, well, that's it. That's the bow right there. So the vast majority of his body for that form isn't even used. So now all we need is a fellow Autobot to work with him here. All right. So I decided our partner in crime today is going to be Sideswipe, because Sideswipe is cool. So, to make this work, you're just going to attach this bow to a 5mm port, preferably on like the forearm area, and there you go. You can have this very cool looking bone bow. And it works. I mean, it's very simple. Only uses maybe a third of the figure, but it gives you a very cool looking weapon. You could alternatively, if you don't want it on the forearm or your particular figure doesn't have a forearm slot there, you can have them hold it, though it is going to make them very front heavy at that point. So you might need to be very mindful of, weight distribution and stuff. But he can just hold it out like that too if you really want him to. Either way really works. Okay, back to our component parts. We're going to do our next getup here, which is a good bit more involved. So you take your little pelvic piece here, and then you take the legs, feet, whatever you want to call them. You're going to go ahead and attach them to the ends, like so. So you get this thing going on here. Then you reattach the wingtips back where they went for the beast mode. Right here and here. And bend these up at this, let's see, the wider joint right here. Just put them up at like an angle here, like so. Bend all this back, like that. All right. and you just have a pair of skeletal wings right there. And we also take this piece right here. You want to hold it where this peg is showing, like it's facing you on your left here. And then you take the dino head, just plug it on, like that. Very simple. Gonna straighten everything out real quick. Let's see. It's supposed to be like this, looks like. Minor detail, but I'm kind of OCD about these things. Alright, there we go. So we get something that looks pretty much like this. This is, I'm guessing, some kind of axe. Though the handle is a little odd because it's on multiple hinges and it's probably going to be prone to, you know, bending and moving around, but that's what that is. Now, unfortunately, even in this configuration, we get some unused parts in the form of the beast feet. So I don't know why, but neither of his fossilizer configurations actually utilize every piece of him, which is a first. Never seen that happen before, and it's a little disappointing. Now to help demonstrate this, here is our side swipe yet again. And for the bone wings, you simply plug them into a 5mm port on the back. These really only work if you have a character that has a center port on their back. A little weak there. If you don't have one, or you have one off to the side, it's not going to be compatible really. So you get this, and then you get the axe, or whatever you want to call this thing. This will help balance out whatever figure's holding it, provide some front weight to the back weight. Yeah, lift it up a little bit, my guy. Yeah, alright, so that's it. That's it. I will say the wings look very cool. Though they're really like just the wings of the pterodactyl. So there's nothing really special there, you're just kind of transplanting them onto the back of another transformer. And then this axe thing is pretty ridiculous looking. Probably one of the worst weapons I've seen from a fossilizer. So about half of this is good. The other half I think is kind of a waste of time. I think the bone bow looks a lot better than whatever kind of axe this is supposed to be. Okay, we've broken down Wingfinger one last time, so we can finally transform him to his robot mode. So the first thing you want to do is take this little pelvic region here, flip this back around to point down. You're going to bring the legs down like this, and fold them this way, like so. Then you're going to take the dino claws, make them the new robot feet. Let's see right here. Got the lower body here. Then this area, you want to kind of start to bend this down, rotate this around to where the little ribs are on the outside, forming almost like a bit of a samurai armor. Plug this in right here. And then we're going to give him his lower arms. So you want to position him where the little 5mm post is on the bottom, and then obviously the hands are facing the right way. So you get it like that, and like this. Get him kind of posed up. And now, by default, let's go ahead and put the dino head on the back here. In fact, let's go ahead and just put all the weapons just kind of on the back. So these will plug on the backs of the arms using these tabs here. All right. And lastly, we flip up the mask to reveal a single visor, mouth-plated, tiny face. Visor might be kind of hard to see because like the low ridge there, but it's there. So here is Wingfinger. He's a very interesting but very bizarre looking transformer. Very lithe and ninja-like, which is something that's accentuated by his twin swords and all that. And he's just something different. I think he probably has the most normal looking robot mode out of the fossilizers as far as proportions and everything. The weirdest thing about him is how far his like pelvic region juts in front of his spine there, but honestly, it does kind of make sense. The only reason it looks so wrong is because he doesn't have much of a rib cage here to kind of fill this area out. Because normally, you know, your spine should be toward the back here. So he works. Rather than being a robot that looks like he's made from dinosaur bones, he kind of just looks like a robot made from his own bones, if that makes sense. Very humanoid looking. You know, of course, we can have him wield both of his swords if that's what we want to do. So you just take him off the backs of his arms, plug him into his fists, and he has like a dual katana action going on here. So you get it just like this. Get him ready to fight, pose him up, do what you gotta do. Now, unfortunately, just like Paleotrex, he does not have any ankle tilt. On the flip side of that, though, his feet are shaped in such a way to where they can kind of roll naturally. So you get kind of like a built-in ankle tilt. Like you can stand him at certain A stances and stuff without it really throwing him off balance or anything. So it works out pretty well for that. So there he is with the two swords, looking pretty cool. And he has what looks like maybe a shield on his back. But if you want him to have this on the front, all you gotta do is swap it with the sword. Get that out of the way. Flip this up. And then plug this on. Hold on. Did that wrong. Keep that up, put it in his hand. So the best way to do this, the easiest way, is get in the fist first, have it one ratchet away from, being pushed in, and then push it down until it locks in right there. And then I would recommend not keeping his extra sword on the same arm as this, because it creates some clearance issues. So just store it on the other arm, like so. So now he gets something that looks like, a bladed shield, right? Where he can kind of bring it up and hit you with it, but he also block with it. Really, really neat, and a really good way to utilize all of his parts in a way that's a lot more satisfying than either of his, weaponizing modes. So, yeah, all of it looks very cool. He's quite posable and, very well balanced, so you can put him in all sorts of different poses. And now, one little thing that's worth pointing out, like just kind of like a little teaser or sneak peek here. This piece right here. See how that opens up? Kind of looks like a face, doesn't it? There's a reason for that, but I'm not going to spoil it. I got another video just for all that. So here you go. You got this very well-armed, ninja-like warrior fighting on behalf of the Maximals. And here's one final group shot with the other main fossilizers. And you can see they all strike very, very different silhouettes. You get Paleotrex, who's lanky, but short in the legs, long in the arms. Then you get Wingfinger, who's also very lanky, but he's kind of the opposite, where he's got these very long, slender legs. And then you get the absolute short stack that is Ractonite. So they're all just doing their own thing. I will say, in robot mode, I think Wingfinger is easily the best looking out of all of them. He is the only one that really, truly looks like a humanoid robot. The other two, unfortunately, kind of suffer from some issues where they look like they're just cobbled together. Like, Ractonite doesn't even have actual hands. He has just pegs. No hands at all. And he's got these tiny little legs. And Paleotrex is the same way, where it appears that, her feet are really just stubs, and then her arms are ridiculously long, and she really, just looks cobbled together. And then you get this guy, who is a lot more coherent and looks more like a humanoid skeleton than something just thrown together from dinosaur parts. So I think when it comes to the robot mode, he's easily the best of the three. Now, when it comes to the weaponizing or fossilizer modes, I think he's the worst by, a pretty good margin there. And when it comes to the beast modes, he has a very good looking beast mode, but it's not really great to play with. So I'm going to say that these two probably beat him out on that. So good robot mode, not so great everything else. And this completes our review of Kingdom Wingthing. Now, I do apologize that this review took so very long to finish. This is obviously not a very current toy anymore, and he was yet another victim of, the backlog. But I really wanted to get him done, especially as Kingdom is, officially closing out now. The very last toy from the series, Hot Rod, is starting to show up. In fact, I have him on the way. So, it's time to go ahead, just kind of dig our heels and get this guy done. And, it is a shame because I didn't put him off because he's a bad toy in any way. He's actually really, really cool, especially in the robot mode. It's just, things come up, things fall behind, and the more a toy falls behind, the more likely it is to stay falling behind because you want to review the newer stuff that comes in because that's what everybody wants to watch. But I really want to get Wingfinger done because he is a very, very cool little figure. And, it's probably one of the more overlooked toys in the third wave. But there's by no means anything wrong with that wave or with, Wingfinger himself. I think he's absolutely great. So I think he's worth picking up. If you can still find him on a store, he's a really good fossilizer. Yeah, I think his weaponizing modes aren't great, at least as they come, right? The bow itself is cool. It just, doesn't use any other parts. You have to make something up. And then the backpack wings are also cool, but then the axe is pretty weak. So, you kind of have to pick and choose what you want to use there. But you can come up with some pretty clever things. He lends himself well to having this, very sword or scythe motif about him, and he can really play well with the other Kingdom figures. So if you haven't picked him up already, and you can still find him, I think, you should give this guy a try. He's a lot of fun to play around with, transformation's pretty satisfying, and he's got a very, very cool looking robot mode. Of course, that is just how I feel about Wingfinger. Now I want to know what you all think of this toy. Is this something that you picked up, or did you pass on it? And if you did pass on it, has this review changed your mind and made you want to pick it up? Or if not, why not? Is there something about the design you don't like? You just don't like fossilizers? Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the not quite so new Transformers Kingdom Deluxe Class Wingfinger. And with all that said, I will see you next time.